if you think about all of the platforms that you consume content on and how many content creators are there, which means how much content is actually out there in the world. And yet it is probably not even like 20%. I don't know the exact number, but I don't think it's even 20% of the actual population, right? There are so many people in this world, and yet we don't have as much content. And I've gone down this rabbit hole of thinking about there's so much content out there that it is becoming repetitive, right? So many people are talking about the same thing. But at the same time, there's so much that I know that my friends don't. And there's so much my friends know that I don't. We don't consume content the same way because all of our social media, platforms are algorithmic, which means what we consume is what we're mostly being fed more, right? A few weeks ago, I was actually talking to one of my friends and I was talking about this one podcast I was consuming and what I learned from that episode. And she was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And to be honest, I just started thinking about how, even though she's one of my closest friends, we have such varied interests and varied forms of consumption, right? The content that we consume, it's not on the same platform. It's not the same way. We might get the same news, but it doesn't mean it's the same way. We might know the same kind of knowledge, but the way we receive them and the way we perceive them are really different. I could be talking about a situation to a friend, and the same situation could be talked about in a totally different setting with people that have totally different moral values and how they look at ethical values and everything. So when I wanted to post content, I kept thinking there's so much noise out there. So many people are doing the same thing that you want to do. Why would they listen to you? And this whole fear of, oh my God, what if people think I'm dumb? What if people think that my content is not as exciting or interesting? And then I told myself, that's not really true. There's always one person out there for one person. Like for you, there's got to be one person out there. That's just the way I believe. And then I dug a little deeper and I asked myself this question: what makes you think you have any sort of standing in the society to feel like if you do one mistake, or doesn't even count as mistake, it's mostly like if you do one thing publicly and fail, that it's A, actually a failure, B, that actually means something. Think about this. If you have a fear of building in public because you think you have this like 1,000 aura points and you don't want to lose aura points, you've got to realize that aura points is actually an illusion, right? Unless you have a couple $1 billion worth in revenue or your net worth is more than a couple $1 billion, even then it's not about losing aura points. If you go to billionaires, they're not going to think about losing aura points. They're going to think about, dude, if I make one mistake publicly, it could take, my company could take a hit for that. And that's in money. That's in business. It's not about them as a person. Sure, they might lose credibility. They might lose, how they show up in the world. All of that is true. But it's not about their ego. It is mostly about how is this going to affect my business? So I think that is where we all make a mistake, thinking that if I do something and fail, everybody's going to laugh at me. But I like to think about it this way, which is, who are these people laughing at you? Like, they are mere mortals, right? They are mere fellow human beings that are living their own lives. And I honestly like to think about it this way, which is if you have like a breakup, if you have like a financial loss, and there are people out there that are watching you go through this, they're not going to come to you and say, oh my God, I feel so bad for you. Here's another boyfriend or a girlfriend. Oh my God, I feel so bad that you've lost so much money. Here's everything that I have in my bank in order to help you. So when we are looking at it that way, if you lose in public, they're not going to really think about it for more than 2 days. If they gossip, that's exactly where they laugh. But if you win, they'll actually be there for you. Because if you think about it again, it gets them a standing in society. And I'm not trying to be shallow. I'm not trying to be like, everybody's using you, everybody's evil. But more in terms of people stand by other people because it gives them something. It's just an inherent unfortunate situation and unfortunate world that we live in right now, where everything is social currency. Everything is becoming performative. How big of a person are you to associate yourself with? Who do you know? What do you consume? All of this becomes all about how you present yourself to the outside world, rather than it being about what kind of a person am I becoming? What does this mean to me as a person? Is this what I want the next decade for me to look like? It's very, very minimal in terms of thinking like that. It's more about others. And when you start thinking like that, the fear that most people have the fear of building in public because they fear what other people will think of them. If the fear is merely like, I am scared that I will prove to myself that I cannot show up for something for 10 days straight, that is internal. That's intrinsic. If the fear is, I am scared that if I build this and I fail in 10 days, other people will think I'm a failure, that's extrinsic, and that is ego. The ego death is essential. You should not care about what other people think. You should care about what you think about yourself. So I posted this video today about this Misfit experiment that I'm starting, building an anti-LinkedIn. And honestly, I have abused every single AI platform out there because of the anxiety trip that I had. I had to go and ask every single AI to validate that the choice that I'm making is right, that it's okay to build in public. Even though I'm someone who showed up on the internet since 2022, and it has been extremely terrifying to me to think about, oh my God, what if I start this and then it just makes me more of a misfit? The reason I'm calling it the Misfit Experiment is mainly because of how I don't fit into a box, and people have been trying to fit me into a box, and I don't mean that in a malicious way, more in terms of people want me to either call myself a marketer or an analyst or a dancer or the kid that went to the US or the kid that came back to India, the kid that does videos, it's just not possible. And I have learned that I am a misfit in a good way, and I would love to honor that. Instead of trying to become a specialist, which I have never been, I made a video about how I'm a generalist. And I want to build in public because I think the thought process that I have about myself has got to shift, and it is not about extrinsic. The main problem that I have, and I think most people will have this, is what if I post this and no one actually cares? What if I post this and no one actually views it, or, none of this makes any sense? I just want everybody to think about it this way because I'm training myself to think about it this way. And this is the mindset shift that I've had, which is every time you do something because you think other people are going to watch it, you're setting yourself up for failure. Every time you do something because you are challenging yourself to do something for yourself, you're setting yourself up for success. Because if I show up to something thinking, I will show up to this for, let's say, 20, 30, 10, 5, whatever days, because I think people are going to watch it, I'm setting myself up for failure if people don't watch it. But if I tell myself, I'm going to show up to this for 10, 15, 5, 7, whatever days, because I want to prove to myself that I can do something consistently, I'm only setting myself up for success because the war is not external, the war is internal. I'm only challenging myself. So my thought process with the Misfit Experiment is basically to just talk about the building process, because I think there are a lot of videos out there telling you how to build a startup, telling you how to, find product market fit, how to kind of do marketing, how to do a product roadmap and everything. But I tried to find someone that I could look up to kind of see, how do you go from an actual idea as a newbie, as someone who knows a lot about business, but hasn't run an actual business, hasn't made any revenue, but has a lot of ideas, knows a little bit of here and there, but wants to actually put all of them together and build something. So, which is when the thought process of, all right, let me just document the whole journey came into mind. I think even with build in public, how do you make it more interesting rather than it being about, okay, I'm going to talk about, I use this tool and then I built this feature today. Welcome to India. Rather than I just wanted to talk about my mindset along with the process. So I have no idea where this is going to go, and I have no idea where I'm going with this, but I just wanted to kind of put that across. But I just wanted to document this, and I also got this new camera setup for my car. So it's been something I've wanted to experiment. I'm on the way to my gym and it's raining and I love the day. The day is almost over. It's 5 p.m., but I'm very excited. I'm honestly very excited. And yeah, so if you're not following me on Instagram, go ahead and follow because I'll be more active there. I will also be active here, just not as much as I'm on Instagram. So I just want to leave you with this. If you're building something in public, make it intrinsic, not extrinsic, because every time you think about the likes, the comments, how many people are watching it, if your KPI is how many people have validated the fact that I put so much effort into it, you are setting yourself up for failure. If your KPI is how do I feel about building this? How do I feel about showing up to something that I said that I would? You are absolutely setting yourself up for success because all you're going to do is collect data. And with that data, you can make changes. So go ahead and build in public.